Ahoy there makers! Raspberry Pi have just launched the new Touch Display 2 5-inch version. So if you want to learn more about this, let's dive straight in. My name's Kevin, come with me as we build robots, bring them to life with code and have a whole load of fun along the way. Okay, let's get into this and we can learn a little bit more about this new product that's just been launched today. I was lucky enough to be one of the 4 people who received one of these today in the mail. So yes, this is a brand new Touch Display 2. There was a previous version that they launched earlier this year, which was the 7-inch version. This is the smaller 5-inch version, measured diagonally. Has a 80-degree viewing angle, and the display format is 720 by 1280 pixels in 24-bit RGB. They do tend to measure these and state these as a portrait display. You can just see on the little box there, it says, I can hold that in the correct, there we go. I was just hiding it with my finger there. It just says it's a portrait display. And that's probably because of the way that the on-screen keyboard works. It kind of slides up from the bottom and therefore takes up a portion of the screen. And if you've got that in landscape, that's quite a lot of the screen being taken up by the touch interface for the keyboard. So I think that's probably why this is described as a portrait display. Works fine in each orientation. So the touch panel itself is a true multi-touch capacitive panel, so capacitive touch rather than the resistive touch. So this works the same way that your iPhone or your iPad does, and it's compatible with all Raspberry Pi computers from Raspberry Pi from the 1B onwards, except for the 0 range. So these ones unfortunately don't have the right connectors to get the display to work. We need a cable for that. This one just has a little cable for the camera. Okay. So price wise, this is $40 for the 5-inch, the 7-inch is $60. So if you're in the UK, that's about £36 I think from my good friends at Pimoroni. So you can order one of these quite cheap, and they're great for a whole range of different project ideas. So I've got 10 project ideas for you here that you could potentially use this for. So a mini retro gaming console, so we can put this in a little box and have it as like a little desktop arcade machine. Run things like RetroPie emulation station on there. With it being a small screen, it's great for things like Game Boy sized arcade games, that kind of thing. Also make a smart home controller. I made one of these earlier this year using the 7-inch version. So this one is a little case from, I can't remember who I bought this one from. I think it was like Pi Hut. They had a range of these little frames for it to go inside, and this one will be no different. There'll be a whole range of add-ons that you can house this in. So yeah, smart home controller is a nice easy one. We can have the touchscreen control to adjust lights, heating, cameras, sensors, that kind of thing, and also connect with things like Home Assistant, Node-RED and so on. It could be a portable system monitor, so we can display CPU, RAM, disk usage, temperature, network stats, all that kind of good stuff, and also perfect for monitoring a network area storage, NAS, Pi cluster or home lab. We could have a custom clock and weather station. It's perfectly sized for a small desktop kind of display for that, or just a tiny viewfinder for a camera. So it works with a Raspberry Pi camera. We can turn it into a pocket. We'll see when we get into this, when we put it together, if it's pocketable. I'm a bit dubious about the actual stacked height of this. It's going to be quite chunky, I imagine. We could have a pocket media player, so play videos, music, even internet radio. The touchscreen can be used for the playlist volume controls. Could be a handheld IoT debug tool, so we can a portable touchscreen to test commands for our Internet of Things over Wi-Fi, Bluetooth or MQTT, and great as just a general little mini screen that you can have at hand when you're working on other projects. It could be an interactive art frame, so it could cycle through digital art, pixel animations, generative designs, that kind of thing, and maybe have a touch to switch different mode or even doodle on the screen. I was thinking about maybe we could have like a whiteboard where you could doodle on that and you can see it on a larger screen somewhere else. Could be a portable cyberdeck / terminal, so we could make this a super compact Linux terminal for SSH, coding, that kind of thing. Could be part of a mini cyberdeck build. And also we could have a mini jukebox for your desk, so you could run Spotify, YouTube music client with the album art played back, and also have the playback buttons on there. So double this with a party gadget with a small speaker. So all kinds of different 10 ideas I just threw out there. So shall we get on to That's a bit of a glitchy animation, not sure what's going on there. Yes, so if you like what I do and you want me to make more of these kind of videos, please give this video a like. Drop me a comment, let me know if you have a Raspberry Pi screen, what kind of screen you use with that. Is it a Waveshare? Is it one of the official Raspberry Pi ones? Let me know in the comments. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It means the world to me when people do subscribe. Okay. And I do go live every single Sunday, 7 o'clock British summertime currently, so we just had yesterday's show. This is a bit of an extra one just for the Raspberry Pi display launch. Cool, so let's get over to the unboxing, shall we? So I've got one over here on my desk. I've been saving this, waiting to unbox it live on stream, so here we go. Let's open this up and see what we've got inside. So it's quite a neat little box. We've got some bubble wrap inside. I usually judge companies to see how economic they are with packaging and the use of plastics. What I don't tend to like is when there's plastic in plastic. So you score a few points off for the use of too much plastic. And is the bubble wrap really needed? Could we do with some paper-based packaging instead? I've got this nice anti-static bag as well. And before I go putting my fingerprints all over the screen, it has actually got the little peel-off screen protector thing on it as well. So it's quite a small screen. Compare that to the 7-inch. You can see it is quite a bit smaller there. And we've got the plugs there for the mounting plates there for Raspberry Pi. So I've actually got a Raspberry Pi 5 here. I'm just going to power this one down so that we can actually attach that on there. And we've got a little bag here with some cables in it. So let's have a look at these cables. So the most important cable is the power cable. Now I did think about this. Originally I had the M2 hat on here with an SSD NVMe connected to the PCI connector there. However, this does require some power, so I think we have to, let's get this the right way round. So the power is the top right, and then the ground is the third pin from there. So we do need some power to the screen, and this is going to mount on the back. I'm just going to remove that extra screen there. Move the power for now. And we will need to provide some power into that little connector just there. So let's just hook that up. It's a bit of a fiddly angle to get this in. See if I can do this without damaging the whole thing. It's got to twist them towards the bottom. This is real fiddly. And then just push that into place. There we go, that's in. And then there's another connector there which is for the actual video signal. So let's get the other cables out. So there's two cables in here depending on what kind of Raspberry Pi that you have, and there's also a little bunch of screws there as well. So depending on what size of Raspberry Pi you have, so the Raspberry Pi 4s have these slightly larger, chunkier cables. The Raspberry Pi 5s have a thinner cable on this end. So on the Raspberry Pi 5, let's just use this back one. It doesn't matter which cable that you plug this into, I understand. And I'm just going to get a little screwdriver just to help me along here with this, because it's a bit fiddly. A bit fiddly to do live. There we go. So if I remember, the dark side goes towards the connectors, as I remember. Let's see if I've got that right or not in a moment. And then the actual, so let's get the product display information up. What I'll do, I'll just bring up the project information. So there's a PDF that goes along with this, which is available on Raspberry Pi's website. So if I bring this up, this is the official product brief, so we can see on there. So I'm just going to compare this Raspberry Pi on my desk with the one that we've got set up there. So yes, it does look like I've got it the wrong way around there. So I'm just going to make sure that that's correct. So they've got it like, connectors are showing that way, and then the cable it goes like so. And you can see the writing. Yep. So what I think I've done there is I've got it the wrong way around. So I'm just going to when they had the cable there, they have the writing on there. So let's just pop that back up, turn that round, push that back down. There we go. And then that will then go underneath into there. A bit of a shove there, and then let's just push those bits of plastic into place. That looks good, and then we've just got the mounting of the screws. Looking around to see if I've got a screwdriver to hand for these. Yes, got a little screwdriver just there. I'll have a look at the comments in a second. I can hear people pinging away in the chat there. Now, I understand that the drivers for this display, and many other displays in fact, are all built into the Raspberry Pi OS, so we shouldn't need to load any drivers. It should, in theory, just fire up right away. So we'll see in a couple of seconds time if that's the case. But if not, I've got another cable connected up to another monitor. I've got a desk monitor. It's kind of a wall monitor that I use for other Raspberry Pis. Right, there we go. So we don't need all of those. Let's put the others back in there. Okay, so what I was saying before about this sort of stack, that's quite chunky. It's not going to be like iPad thin, is it, if you make a pocketable solution from this. And it doesn't come with any back or any kind of surround. This is what you get out of the box. Okay, let's plug in some power and then let's fire this up. So I'll just hold that at an angle like that. Let's see if we can see what happens. So I've fired it up. I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds for the OS. There we go. So you can see now we have the user interface loading up. So I have got a keyboard and mouse attached, but I'm going to try just pressing my finger to see how well this actually works. And that's pretty good. If I load up a terminal, you can see there we get the keyboard there, so I can sort of run like a command like ls, and that works okay. It's a bit small to actually see there, but yeah, it's got a good viewing angle on it. So did it say 80 degrees? So as I look at that, I can look at it from lots of different angles and it looks fine. It's a little bit darker that way, but it's fine, and it's kind of portrait. It looks quite small. If I compare this to an iPhone, for example, you can see I've got an iPhone just the max size, so it's about the same kind of size, just a little bit smaller, kind of in height. We can peel off that as well if we want to. Oh, nice. So yeah, there we go. How simple is that? We can toggle the screen on-screen keyboard just by hitting the top right. So that's how quickly we can do that. And if we want to actually change the orientation of the screen, how do we do a right click on this? I think we just to go to Preferences, Screen Configuration. Make sure I've hit that right. Yeah, it is quite small, so the pointing area is a little bit tricky. There we go. So we can do Screen, DSI 1, and then Orientation. Let's try left, apply. So there we go. So we can try that. That looks okay. We could also try dragging it up a bit. Let's try the other orientation. See what I mean about the screen keyboard? If you have this in a landscape orientation, it takes up half the screen. So I think this is why really these are designed to be the other orientation. So let's just go back, change that orientation to be normal, apply, okay. And then again, when we have the on-screen keyboard, see how little of the screen it actually takes up, but it is quite serviceable there. We can hack away at some commands. If we did I don't know, H-top, for example, we can see there all the stats of the Pi. So this is just the standard Raspberry Pi 5. This must be a 2 gig. I think I can see on there. Swap size is about 1.98, so that tells me it's probably like a 2 gig Raspberry Pi. Cool. It's quite light, so it's not taking up much, it's not particularly heavy. It's just those standoffs that make it really, really quite chunky if we're going to have some kind of case around that. So if I just grab some calipers and we just see how kind of thick this is. Let's find the thickest part which is there. So 33.5, 33.6. So about 3 centimeters, 3.5 centimeters. But as I leave that on my desk there, that's quite a nice viewing angle as I'm looking up at this, just kind of straight off as a raw thing, but obviously it's in the wrong orientation there. So what do you think about that so far? Any thoughts? I'm just going to have a look in the comments and see what people see. So Never Think Make says, long time no see. Ford says, how about a portable DVD player? One that involves this display. So funnily enough, I do have a DVD drive. Where is it? Somewhere in this desk, which is just like a USB drive. So you potentially could do that. I've not got that to hand. Hey Vince, how's it going? So Vince says, I use the Pimoroni Hyperpixel Touch. So price-wise, let me have a look at that. I'm just going to bring up the screen in a second. Let's just do a bit of a comparison on that. So Raspberry Pi now do 3 official screens. There's the touchscreen to 5-inch, the touchscreen to 7-inch, and also the monitor. Let's go to Pimoroni here and let's have a look at some of the screens there. So Vince mentioned the hyperpixel display. So there's quite a few hyperpixels. I'm a particularly big fan of this one here, the hyperpixel 4, and that one is a 4-inch TFT display and it's £43. So what's that going to be in dollars? It's going to be £43 in dollars, $58. So that's more expensive than the 7-inch screen, and this one is, yeah, that's touch as well. Oh, it's just £30, £31.50 for the non-touch version, by way of comparison. But yeah, we have the new touch display. So if I go touch display, we can see there's the new one, and it's just brought brand new today, this morning. So £36 in the UK, or $40 if you're in the US. There we go. So yeah, there's links on there to that product brief as well. We saw how easy it was to connect up and get up and running. So my only sort of thoughts as a kind of negative is we are kind of limited on what we can connect up to this. If I go back at the rear of this, I can no longer plug in the hat, simply because the power is being taken up by these pins over here. I'm not sure if there's any other pinouts that we could steal power from, or whether we can put this on and steal it from the very top. We could potentially just unplug that. Yeah, it does go off. Plug that in and then power that through the top there. But yeah, it does look like it's not designed to work with any hats attached. They could have gone with the kind of shim design, which I know Pimoroni use quite a few of these on their products, where you have something that kind of goes underneath. It's like a very thin circuit board that goes between the hat and the Pi itself. So it's interesting they didn't go for that kind of connector there. And there's also a link there to the launch blog entry from Gordon. So there we go. What does he say about that? 5-inch variant, buy now from approved resellers such as Pimoroni. Not affiliated to them at all. And we have all the key features which we've covered off. Plug and play, you saw how easy it was to do that. The installation guide, it's pretty straightforward. Just make sure you get the cable so that the writing is displayed on the top. and as you connect it on into the board and onto the Pi, that should remain visible. It says developing code with AI. So everybody thinks that AI is the future of software engineering. So has this got anything to do with the display itself? Just wondered why that was on there. Oh, this is to illustrate the new capabilities. Decided to create a simple slideshow using AI assisted development. So we did that on the show yesterday. We developed some flight code for the drone project that I'm working on. So I've received the PCBs for that today. So the flight computer software, we designed that with AI, a bit like Gordon's talking about on here as well. And he talks about there about capturing touch events, so two-finger zooms don't work when the application uses multi-touch. The touches in the top left are always 0, even though there are multiple cursors on the screen with multiple touches. So that's just some of his feedback from the experiences that he's got there working with the AI coding. There we go. I'm interested to know what software he used for that. Was it Python? I'm not sure if he's got a link to that. So yeah, so it will work on a Raspberry Pi 4. So there's 2 cables that come with it, one for the 5, one for the 4, and they're basically just different widths of ribbon cable. So the Pi 5 has got a slightly smaller ribbon cable, similar to what the Zero has if you've ever used a camera on there. Or it says, "Oh wow, you've noticed you're alive." Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of bubble wrap. I think there are other solutions that are more economic, more environmentally friendly. So when companies are packaging, I like it when they've thought that through. Good examples is like Amazon. When you buy a Kindle Fire or a Kindle, a regular Kindle, Paperwhite, whatever, they come just entirely in a cardboard case, cardboard carton, I think the word is I was looking for there. So yes, they get full marks for the sort of environmental thoughts there. So P says, just realised that this is live. Yep. It is a small screen, Ford. You are right. It's a nice size. I'm quite liking the sort of mininess of it there. Just see if I can just grab that up there. So yeah, it's quite a small screen. See, compared to my head, and you can see that on the back. There's the Pi. So it's not much bigger than the Pi, and it's nice because it's entirely touchscreen. So we can touch the little Pi in the corner. There we go, and we can load up a browser and browse the web on a tiny little screen. So I guess if you're trying to start a drive-in theatre for the bugs outside, this will fit the bill. So the 20-inch touch from Raspberry Pi when? So what size is the official screen? I've got the screen behind me. If you look just above my head there, that's a Raspberry Pi 500 with the official desktop monitor. Let's go back over to Pimroni and see what that sells for. So desktop monitor. So this is the official desktop monitor, which is like the one behind me. That one is going for £93, which is, let's just do that in dollars, $125. And it comes in red or black. The black one does look nice. And yeah, that's 15-inch. So they've not quite got to the 20-inch version that Vince was asking for there. Or a 32 ultra-wide OLED touch. You want that as well, that's quite funny. And Ford's gone one bigger, let's go for a 72-inch screen. So let's see what else we're talking about. So anyone day one ordered one of these? So yep. So I do have to mention, just for clarity, I was sent this one by Raspberry Pi. They sent me this one just on Friday, but it only arrived this morning, so I wasn't able to get it for the launch. What's that about mac and cheese? Important food talk there. No Pi screen, no Pi anything. I haven't got the money for it. So let's see what else we've got. Can be oriented in landscape. Yep. So I did do that a couple of seconds ago. So if I go back over to the overhead screen, I can show you that one again, Laurie. So if we just close that window out there, close that terminal, close that. If I go for the Pi menu, preferences, screen configuration, screen DSi1 orientation, left, and then click apply. Click OK. We can have it in the landscape, but what I was saying there is if you put up the on-screen keyboard just by pressing the little top right there, look how much of the screen it takes up. It is a lot easier to type on that, to be fair. So if you've got like a terminal window, you can type, make sure it's got to the focus there, and if I just make sure they've got ls dash L, so you can see that we can have this as a kind of cyber deck, but it does take a lot of the screen up when you're doing that, and you can just toggle that on and off just by hitting that. And if we want to make that screen, you can just drag the top of the screen around this, you cannot drag the window around the screen is what I'm trying to say. So if we go back to screen, DSi1 orientation normal, apply that, OK. That again is the orientation that it sort of defaults to. So we can just close some of those windows as well. With it being such a small screen, actually trying to press the pixels is quite tricky, because the X to close that is quite a small target to hit. But yeah, it's quite a nice size in your hand, not too heavy. I've not got any scales on me, so I can't actually weigh this. There we go. Okay, let's see what else. So yeah, we've looked at the orientation. With the access to the GPIOs, you could potentially hook up a sensor and code a script to auto rotate. Yes, you probably could do that with some kind of I don't know, like a reed switch or something. I actually bought a whole bunch of reed switches for a project I'm working on currently, which is a 3D printable weather station. Maybe a stylus for touch. Yeah, so it is a capacitive touch, this one, so you can use your finger. If you had a stylus, it would have to be one that can take your conductivity, so it would have to be like a carbon or something like that, or metal perhaps. I wonder if the Pimoroni NVMe base would still fit. Yes, probably will do. Again, you're going to add a bit of extra chunk to the width of this, so it already is quite high on there. You're going to add the base to that, it's going to be even chunkier. Depends on what you intend this to be. So if you're trying to make like an iPad-like device, it is going to be quite chunky compared to that. But yeah, it is what it is. And then plenty of storage just in case. Exactly. So Shemi says, I've got the 7-inch and the SSD hat, and that sits between the Pi and the screen. That's cool. Anyway, you could show this off if you've got both. So I've got the original, this is the touch version 1, you can see, because it's got the original Raspberry Pi. Is that Raspberry Pi 3 type HDMI connector there? But this is the same size, so if I show you these kind of side by side, you can see that just how much smaller that screen is. And chunk wise, you can see, I just try and rotate this round. So this is with a case, the one on top. You can just see there, if I try and get those kind of straight on, how much that's going to stick out. I have got the other size of the touchscreen 2 7-inch. I just don't know what I've done with it. It's in here somewhere, but I was looking for it before. I need to sort of get a bit of a, what does he call it on, I can't remember. Never mind. So there we go. Paul says, same with the bubble wrap, I'll gladly pop it. See, I'm missing a trick. I'm thinking about like the environment, and I could be here just like popping bubbles instead. So nice, but that border has to come off. So I think the border is part of the structure. You can't actually remove that. That's part of the I don't know, it's glass on the front. I should look through the product spec to see that, but yeah, it has got quite a big bezel around the edge. Is it bevel or bezel? Bezel. Be good video, viewing angles, response times. But 10-inch would be nice. 10 inch is the sweet spot. So you can have a 15-inch, you can have the 7-inch, and you can have the 5-inch. Yes. Folding screen. Love me a folding screen. Folding pie screen, please. Need to get a laundry bot. If only we knew a robot maker. If only we knew somebody that could make robots. There we go. Need to make a Rosie from the Jetsons. I saw a life-size version of that at Maker Central last year, and it's quite an impressive robot. It had like the little bib on and everything, but it was absolutely gigantic. Also looked like those death bots from Terminator, with the tracks on there. Cool, so I hope you enjoyed that quick video, quick unboxing and a bit of a review. Let's go back to that screen there, and you can see there, that's what we've been looking at today. The nice new 5-inch screen from Raspberry Pi. $40, available at all good resellers, including Pimroni as well. Cool. Take care of a house with three people and 3 cats entirely by yourself is not easy. Be great for home automation interface. Exactly. I did do a video on how to build one of those. So if you search on my channel, I did do a video on how to make your own home automation using was it Kivy, the Python interface, and you can basically build out your own dashboards and so on. So definitely check that one out if you're interested in that. And I shall see you all next time. So thanks for watching. Bye for now.